Thank you for turning to page 121. Today we're going to take a look at another career out of the 2022 Core Rulebook Update for Mongoose Traveler 2nd, and it's going to be the Army. I've done the other careers in alphabetical order, but I pulled out the Army, Marines, Navy, and Scouts separately. And why did I do that? Because I consider them to be four of the most common player character career paths. At least they have been at my table over the years, and we're going way back to the early 80s. It's just the group that tends to get the most player characters from those four services. They're also the backbone services of the Imperium. So I decided, what the heck, I'll do all the others, and I'll come back and I'll hit the main four as I think of them. They're not the only four that are important to the Imperium, I get that, but they're just in my campaign, they've been very important. So today we're going to take a look at the role of the Army, what they do, how they do it, why they do it, and then we're going to take a look at the Army career path itself. Also, a quick reminder, subscribers, please, if you haven't subscribed, please do. Subscribers who have subscribed, thank you. I appreciate it. Patreon, also, if you can help out there, take a look. And existing patrons, I want to thank you. So that's it. This is the end of the commercial. We're going to go back to the important stuff, which is going to be look at the Army today on page 121. The Army in Traveler. This, of course, is from Core Rulebook 2022 Update. I love this book. I've gotten a lot of stuff out of this book. And it is, of course, the set of rules I'm using for my current Traveler campaigns. So the Army, as I said at the top, I held out the Army, Marines, Navy, and Scouts because they're the four services that kind of form the core of what you need to keep the Imperium going, but also because those are frequent choices for player characters when they're rolling up their characters. So I thought these deserved a little bit of special treatment. For the Army itself, I want to talk a little bit about the role of the Army, which is basically to take and hold ground. They are ground forces. They are intended to come in, defeat the opponent, and then hold and police the held territory. They also are there to occupy territory. If the Marines come in and take some territory, the Marines won't stay and occupy it necessarily. That would be when they turn it over to the Army and allow the Army to do it. The other important thing about the Army is, in Traveler, you are not necessarily in the Imperial Army. You have to decide that as you're rolling up your character. You can be in a planetary army, or if you're from a balkanized world, you can be from a local army. And you can be possibly cross-trained to higher tech, or it could be a local army that has higher tech, however you want. But this gives a ton of opportunities for you as the player to really, really customize the character and make him exactly what you want him to be. I have had players play both members of the Imperial Army who've been discharged, or members of a planetary army who have been discharged, and it can make a big difference in the character. So taking a look at the Army itself, members of the planetary armed fighting forces, soldiers deal with planetary surface actions, battles, and campaigns. Such individuals may also be mercenaries for hire, and in this case, planetary armed forces could be either belonging to a planet or part of the Imperium. Qualification is a 5-up with endurance as a modifier, die modifier -1 for each previous career, and die modifier -2 if you're 30 or more. So if you're trying to go into the Army as after a previous career and you're 30, you're at a -3 DM. To get a commission, you need to roll Soc 8+. So an 8+ with your Soc the modifier. The assignments, choose one of the following. Support, you're an engineer, cook, or in some other role behind the front lines. Infantry, you are one of the PBI, the poor bloody infantry on the ground. Or cavalry, you are one of the crew of a gunship or tank. That could be a lot of fun. A grav tank can be a lot of fun. Going with the service skills you would get for being in the Army, you get drive or vac suit 0, athletics 0, gun combat 0, recon 0, melee 0, and heavy weapons 0. Your career progress, if you're in the support, it's endurance. You roll a 5-up. Education, roll a 7-up to advance. Infantry is strength 6-up to survive, and education 6-up to advance. Cavalry 7-up with dex as the modifier to survive, and intelligence 5-up for advancement. Mustering out benefits are not bad. Cash goes from 2,000 to 20,000, 30,000 if you get a modifier. Your benefits can be a cybernetic implant. Hopefully you didn't need one for the injury. Intellect +1, education +1, weapon, armor, Endurance +1 or cybernetic implant, and then Soch +1 if you get a modifier. Interesting thing on the armor, I don't allow battle dress to leave with the player. I might allow combat armor. I do not allow battle dress. That's not something that's going to fall into private hands unless you get it illegally. So we take a look on the personal development. These first two charts, of course, are available to everyone. You get on a 1, strength +1, a 2, dex +1, 3, endurance +1, 4, gambler, 5, medic, 6, melee. The service skills, as you roll on this, you get drive or vac suit 1, athletics 1, gun combat 1, recon 1, melee 1, heavy weapons 1. And then as advanced education, you have to have an education of 8 or greater to get this. You could have tactics, military, electronics, navigation, explosives, engineer, and survival. And then officer, you have to have a commission for this. Tactics, leadership, advocate, diplomat, electronics, and admin. And then depending on which branch you're in, if you're in support, you can have mechanic, driver fly, profession, explosives, electronics, comms, or medic. Infantry, you get gun combat, melee, heavy weapons, stealth, athletics, recon. And for cavalry, you get mechanic, drive, flyer, recon, heavy weapons vehicle, or electronics sensors. Interestingly, you don't get vac suit, which is usually the for some of the armor is one of the things you would need. So I'd have to look at that. So for enlisting, for your rank, you start as a private. You get gun combat 1. If you make it to rank, that's rank 0. Rank 1, lance corporal, you get recon 1. Then you go to corporal. Rank 3, you get lance sergeant, and you get leadership 1. Then you go to sergeant, gunnery sergeant, and sergeant major with no other benefits. For rank itself, rank 1 is lieutenant, you get leadership 1. Captain, no benefit. Major, tactics, military 1. Lieutenant, colonel, and colonel have no intrinsic skills or bonuses. And if you make general, which is number 6 rank, you get a Soch of 10 or Soch +1, whichever is higher. Of course, you cannot have a Soch 15. That's the emperor. Be cool to become the emperor out of the army, but nah. Now we take a look at the mishap table. Severely injured in action, same result as the 2 in the injury table. Ultimately, roll twice in the injury table and take the lower result. Your unit, and on 2, your unit is slaughtered in a disastrous battle for which you blame your commander. Again, your commander is an enemy as they have you removed from the service. 3, you are sent to a very unpleasant region, a jungle, swamp, desert, ice cap, urban area, to battle against guerrilla fighters and rebels. You are discharged because of stress, injury, or because the government wishes to bury the whole incident. Increase recon or survival by 1 level, but also gain the rebels as an enemy. It'd be kind of funny to have this group of rebels that are in one jungle somewhere on a planet. They're mad at you. They're shaking their fists at your picture every morning, and they're never going to see you again. Mishap table on a roll of 4. You discover that your commanding officer is engaged in some illegal activity, such as weapon smuggling. You can join their ring and gain them as an ally before the inevitable investigation gets you discharged, or you can cooperate with the military police. The official whitewash gets you discharged anyway, but you may keep your benefit roll from this term of service. So it depends. That's some good role-playing right there. That's my favorite of the mishaps. 5, you are tormented by or quarrel with an officer or fellow soldier. Gain that officer's arrival as they drive you out of the service. That could be somebody that comes back into your life. And then 6, injured, roll in the injury table on page 49. And now we take a look at the events of being in the Army. On a roll of 2 dice 6, on a 2, disaster, roll in the mishap table, but you are not ejected from this career. On a 3, you are assigned to a planet with a hostile or wild environment. Gain 1 of vac suit 1, engineer 1, animals riding or training 1, or recon 1. On a 4, you are assigned to an urbanized planet torn by war. Gain 1 of stealth, streetwise, persuade, or recon. On a 5, you are given a special assignment or duty in your unit. Gain die modifier +1 on any 1 benefit roll. On 2 dice 6, you roll a 6. You are thrown into a brutal ground war. Roll education 8 up to avoid injury. If you succeed, you gain 1 level in gun combat or leadership. 7, the most common roll on 2 dice 6. Life event. Roll in the life events table on page 46. On 8, You are given advanced training in specialist field. Roll education 8 up to increase any one skill you already have by 1 level. On a roll of 9, you're surrounded and outnumbered by the enemy. You hold out until relief arrives. Gain die modifier +2 on your next advancement roll. You've done that famous last stand. On a 10, you are assigned a peacekeeping role. Gain 1 of admin, investigate, deception, or recon. On an 11, your commanding officer takes an interest in your career. Either gain tactics, military 1, or die modifier +4 to your next advancement roll, thanks to their aid. A higher officer is shepherding your career along for you. And then 12, you display heroism in battle. You may gain a promotion or commission automatically. So that's kind of neat too. I enjoy the Army as a career path. I think it has a lot of applications as the character becomes a traveler, whether they're aboard Starship or doing some mercenary work or whatever. I think it's a great basis for your character to start out. And I think the role-playing opportunities brought out by the Mishap and Events tables are just tremendous. So there you have it. That's a look at the Army. Remember, you have to choose whether you're part of the Imperial Army or you're part of one of the more local armies, either planetary or on a balkanized planet, one of the very local armies, and then decide your character's future accordingly. So next time in this series, we're going to take a look at the Marines. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time on page 121.